Hi, my name is Rosy Sunshine Galvan, and this is my video application for the Fellowship Training Program at the Sanctuaries. The track that I'm choosing to apply to is the Healer track. This following painting represents that track perfectly. As you can see, it shows a beautiful goddess using their voice to share their story, to heal their bodies, and to emanate their energy as positively and as brightly as they can. The story behind this painting describes a very personal journey. I do want to provide folks who may be viewing this video a content warning. I will be talking about sexual violence and just wanted to give everyone a heads up so that you can take care of yourself. Choose not to watch this if that's what feels best for you. I'm 37 years old. I'm Dominican American. I'm originally from New York City, and I am a survivor. I, from a very young age, have been through a lot. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. I'm a survivor of rape when I was 15 years old. And on top of a lot of other types of violence, feeling unsafe in my neighborhood and violence there, but also an abusive school system, family violence, and a lot of chaos. I was able to surpass and overcome a lot of things. I realized after, I joined lots of movements. I'm a social worker. I've worked in nonprofits for about 15 years, sexual health, LGBTQ work, and I just realized about 4 years ago how much I was avoiding myself in doing this work. And I made a commitment to myself that if I'm going to be about this liberation, then my liberation and freedom also needs to be a priority for me. And if I'm not showing up for myself with the same fervor, then am I really being authentic in these spaces? And also, what's the point of my effort if I'm not also included in this, vision for freedom that we're working towards? I started going to therapy, and I started to unpack a lot of the stuff that was completely unaddressed, and a lot of the violent tendencies I also had as a result of my unchecked trauma. And then I started to think about my own creative journey and how I taught myself how to paint, and how for many, many years I was drawing these similar doodles that kept coming to me with these goddesses. And I remember starting to draw them when I was about 20 years old, and it was the first time that I had time to really process at that point some of the trauma I had undergone at that time. So I thought about that. And then I also thought about how later on in life I also experienced violence that happens interpersonally and in intimate relationships, intimate partner violence, both on the receiving end and also being violent myself because of my unchecked trauma, and how again these figures were always there. They always were something that I decided to just doodle on the side of my notebook or paint or, put on a wall. A couple of years ago, I made a New Year's resolution to paint 50 of them. And I painted 50, which was incredible. I was painting constantly after work and before work and waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning. And I realized that I didn't want to have a show without first telling my story to my own family and my parents. So I did. I sent them a letter and shared everything. And it was the scariest thing and the most beautiful thing I've ever done in my life. And I made this painting right after that happened. So going back to the painting now, which you can see here, I hope now the voice makes sense. I was shouting in the streets constantly, in institutions and nonprofits, trying to make sure that we have health equity, that we have basic dignity, human rights, and I was completely missing my voice even though I was shouting. That describes the painting that leads me to the healing track. I am a healer. I am a healer for myself, for my community, and my artwork is one of the tools that I use to do so. The second painting that I want to show you describes who I am. I am a person who lives with anxiety but always shows up in a very calm presence. I have the capacity to really transform complex systems. I work in public health, I work in the HIV field, and have been able to really push some very progressive strategies forward looking the way I do, being unique and my true self. So I feel that even though there's a lot going on in here in terms of like processing interpersonal stuff, my own journey just as a being on this earth, but also my interactions with others, my anxiety, etc. I process it internally and show up with as much grace as I can, in a peaceful spirit, ready to channel and take on whatever barriers are in my way. Would really like to continue this work in a variety of ways after the training program if I'm so fortunate to get accepted. I see it rolling out in 3 ways. The first involves my vision for the teaching artist program at the Sanctuaries. My vision for that is to be able to facilitate my workshop on an ongoing basis. My workshop is called Reclaiming Your Body Through Ancestral Strength and Divine Creativity, and definitely explains what my artwork is about. My artwork is about realizing that all of the things that have made me who I am does come from my ancestors and my family lineage. So the strength to survive, perseverance, being a good person, showing up for community, were all things that have made me the warrior that I am today. At the same time, the things that I learned through my family and that have been passed on through intergenerational trauma was also what was holding me back. So for me, these goddesses represent the strength that has helped me be here, but they also represent breaking patterns that we learn through our family, through our ancestry, intergenerationally, that keep us back and don't serve us anymore, aren't helpful anymore to our current collective vision. And it's a way that participants really get in touch with where they hold their anxiety and their trauma and utilize painting to work through it, using shapes and colors to reclaim our bodies, to find joy and comfort. Just feel present and understand that the energy that we channel helps us be here and show up as our beautiful selves is the same energy that'll get us through and help us feel good in these vessels that we operate and walk in and show up in. The second involves more of a community level project. I've had this vision for a long time to create a project where people who survive street harassment to get together and envision what their worlds would look like if they didn't have to worry about street harassment. So what are some activities that you would do if you could walk outside and not have to worry about like it being dark out or you wearing a certain thing or expressing your gender outside of the gender binary? So I would like folks to envision that in some capacity and then be able to have a wooden board. I don't know the structure yet, but something that can be outdoors in some way, hopefully, or maybe inside, for folks to demonstrate that sort of like their vision in words, but on the other side of that, a visual image to demonstrate that. So I would love to curate something like that. And my third vision is really based around just building community. I'm very new to the area. I've only been here for a few months, and it's something that's incredibly important to me to start to build my roots here, and this seems like a perfect opportunity to just get to know other people and to start to understand what the landscape is. I wouldn't want to do a community project like the one that I shared without first learning what the communities are here and what visual experience would be healing to them, right, and to y'all. So I definitely would want to take time to honor and learn about the community that I'm coming into, and I think that this would be a phenomenal opportunity for me to start to feel those connections and create those connections. Well, thank you so much for considering me. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate that you have this opportunity for folks, and I hope to be in touch with you regardless of the outcome. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Thank you.